Our world is one unit, and yet we have artificially created different countries and selfishly focused on what is good for each of us. What the world needs today is effective collaboration between nations to address critical issues such as climate change, reducing poverty through focusing on education, health, and job creation. What the world needs today is not to highlight our differences based on color and religion, but with compassion and care, embrace and respect our differences. What the world does not need is to be obsessively focused on our GDPs and the armament race, but have deep care and concern for the well-being of all. World needs us to teach our future generation to be good human beings so that we do not end up using our technology and our power to harm and hurt each other. The world needs to create a safe, meaningful, and worthwhile space for all to live for generations to come.
Good evening. We thank our title sponsor, Celebrite Media, for the wholehearted support. All of us are always curious to know how the energies deeply rooted in us can be surfaced and utilized for betterment of our lives. We begin our session on energies and vibrations and the art of raising them with our esteemed guests. We welcome Yogacharini Kalavathi Devi, Dr. Ranjit Bhogal, and Dr. Gauri Joshi to our IFSI studio. Yogacharini Kalavathi Devi is a dedicated student of Yogamani, Kalaimamani, Yogacharini Meenakshi Devi Bhavnani, and Yogacharya Dr. Anand Bhavnani from the Geetanand Yoga Parampara. In 2010, Kalavathi was awarded the prestigious title Yoga Chemal for her service to yoga. In 2015, she had attained the Year Advanced Teacher Training Certificate, which culminated in 3,000 hours of training at the ashram. And then in 2019, Kalavathi was awarded the title Karma Yoga Shironmani. Kalavathi lives in Cardiff, where she runs her own yoga studio where she teaches a variety of classes. General yoga classes, pregnancy yoga, pregnancy teacher training, kids yoga, baby yoga, corporate yoga, one-to-one private sessions, yoga therapy, mantra, philosophy, and more. Dr. Ranjit Bhogal, author of 7 books, Professor R.S. Bhogal is a joint director of research at Kaivalyadhama SMYM Samiti, Lonavala. He is the head assistant director research at the Scientific Research Department of Kaivalyadhama and is formerly principal of Govardhan Das Seksaria College of Yoga and CS. His key achievements include Shivram Apte Sanskrit Prize at graduation level and the Bharat Jyoti Award. He has published about 60 research articles and 60 other scientific articles. He has also visited abroad for holding lectures, conferences, and yoga workshops. Dr. Gauri Joshi. Dr. Joshi is perhaps the only spiritual healer who is also a practicing ENT surgeon. She is also a Reiki Grandmaster. As a medical yoga expert of the Iyengar Institute, she has developed her own Ramban Kriya. She is a Jyotish Pandit and has also learned Vastu Shastra and developed Vastu Reiki, an extremely powerful remedy for structural faults. She is a renowned tarot reader and trainer. I request Dr. Gauri Joshi to take the discussion forward.
Thank you, Renu. Hello, friends. How are you
Hello.
all? Today, under the aegis of my favorite festival, the International Festival of Spiritual India, I bring you knowledge that will transform your life. Friends, it may seem a bit strange to the people who know me that I am a little more relaxed and at ease than usual. The secret is I am in the esteemed presence of two eminent personalities who are the very epitomes of peace and love. The energy here is simply amazing, guys. One of them develops innovative technology through the ancient approach, Yogacharini, Kalavathi Devi, and the other approaches spirituality through the modern technology. Dr. Ranjit Bhogal. Exciting, isn't it? And the topic today, as you all know, is simply mind boggling energies, vibrations, and the art of raising them. So, my first question to the lady here, Kalavati Devi, to the layman, how could you explain the concept of energies and vibrations?
Well, to the layman, you would have to keep it really simple. So, talking about energy and vibration, to the layperson, you could bring this in very simply, just enabling him to understand that everything is made of energy. He would understand energy in how he's able to move around in the world, how he's able to walk and talk, and the amount of energy that he has to express in what he does, in what he says. And if we could enable him to understand that he can create more energy by the way he lives, if he's eating better food, if he's breathing better, if he's drinking water, rather than eating processed foods, not exercising, drinking sugary drinks or teas and coffees or alcohol, things like that. All these are going to have a effect on their energy. So to help this layperson understand that if they can live a more natural, healthy life, then they're going to improve the energy that they can have to access within themselves. This can be very simply done as well with yoga. You don't have to go into the concepts very deeply. Normally when somebody comes to a yoga class, you'll find that they can feel better at the end of the class. They have a different energy. They'll feel more relaxed. They maybe feel more energized depending on what time of day you're running the class. So yeah, just to keep things very simply for the layperson to get a bit of an idea.
So, Kalavati Devi, you mean energy is more about experiencing it rather than to explain it. But I think this is a superb and excellent answer that our viewers have got. Now, over to Dr. Ranjit. Doctor, what has been your latest project and how has been the result? Could you please explain in brief the work you have been doing in the field of RMR, that is resting metabolic rate?
Everyone in the whole world looks at yoga, particularly Hatha Yoga, as to have energy regeneration inside. So that work output is better, professional life is enhanced, and family life is also quite satisfied. And for that, we have prana as the concept. And how to raise prana for its application part is given in a very, very effective way in Shiv Samhita, the Hatha Yogic text. That is, it says that Uttana Shayane Bhumo Saptva Dhyayate Rantaram. Sadhyashama Vinashaya Swayam Yogi Vichakshana. It means one can actually enhance energy from within, so within seconds one can become regenerated. If one meditates in lying down posture, it is fifth chapter of Shiv Samhita, and 71st and 70th and 71st shlok. And I thought that let us take it to laboratory and see whether it happens or not. I took biophase angle. This is the measure of cellular health of the cell. It means water retention when it is quite good. Health of the cell is good. And so permeability of the cell also is enhanced when the current flows better way than the voltage. So that small difference is known as biphase angle. So anything between 6 to 8 is the excellent. And it has been measured very objectively by a bioscan instrument of UK. And it has got very high standard, say, standardizability, the value and norms are also very good. And that is, and if you have the phase angle less than 4, it means some problem is there in the psychophysiology. So we thought that let us have difference between Shavasana and meditation, how they respond to this parameter. We found that meditation actually gives more regeneration, particularly in lying down posture. Within the space of 10 to 15 minutes, one can get regenerated objectively. And what we saw that phase angle was significantly greater as compared to that of Shavasana. But Shavasana and meditation both were having significant difference as compared to the control. That means Shavasana is also not lagging behind. But then meditation is meditation. One is Shavasana and meditation. Both are done in lying down posture. So this energy regeneration is there. We had taken very controlled study, 33, 33 and 33. Both the experimental groups and one that is control. And we found these results. And also we have very wonderful effects on emotional intelligence. We had also the qualitative analysis, which gives us wonderful thing. That is the effect of meditation was world apart from that of Shavasana. It was only a kind of psychophysiological rest, nice. But then in yoga, I now stand my own ground. I can look up. I can speak. I can assert. Such kind of responses were there. It means it is need of the hour at this moment when there is a problem everywhere, and that is need of the hour today.
Amazing. I'm simply floored by your answer and your research, doctor. My next question is to Kalavathi Devi. How long does it take a person to become aware, understand, and develop their strength in these areas of energy, like yoga, Reiki? Like for one, I deploy Reiki, which is a Japanese technique, which is very easy to learn and practice. Kalavathi Devi.
You can't say how long it's going to take because everybody's different. So one person could feel the energy immediately, whereas somebody else may never feel the energy. I teach people to breathe. That's one of the key things that I do. And this is where we are able to really start harnessing more energy. We call it prana in yoga, as was already been mentioned. And if we aren't breathing very well, we actually have a very low level of prana, which is just basically, keeping you alive. When we learn to breathe and when we improve our lung capacity, so from a person who's not really breathing very well, and this is most people, in the world would be breathing around sort of 10% capacity. It takes to around 60% capacity. Swami Gitananda, he said 60% capacity to really start harnessing that pranic energy. And then once you've learned to breathe to that amount of capacity, then you can really start to learn pranayama. So before you get to that capacity, you're just learning to breathe. You're learning to feel the different areas of the lungs, learning to utilize the lungs, and a lot of it is really moving air in and out of the body. So really for an individual to say, how quickly does somebody pick this up? It really is different for everybody. You can have some people that come along and they instantly can feel the different areas of the lungs, and they can access the different areas, and they can breathe purposely into these different areas, you know, at will, whereas somebody else would come along and absolutely struggle and not be able to feel or find these different areas of the lungs. So it's a completely different thing, and you can have some people that have been you know, practicing these techniques, you know, for many years and still not feeling it, whereas somebody else can come along and feel it very quickly. For those that feel it very quickly, obviously the sort of success rate and the benefits are going to come a lot quicker to that person rather than the person who cannot feel it. Although you can get somebody who can't feel it, but they can actually, they can do it, but they can't feel it. So it's quite, it's very much an individual experience when it comes to harnessing this energy. But I've been teaching people to breathe for years, and the benefits of improving people's ability, you know, of breathing, you know, whether they are accessing prana and, you know, getting to those higher states where you move into pranayama, or whether they're just taking a lot more oxygen into the body, you know, that's going to be questionable, you know, as to, you know, what's happening to each person. But the health benefits that people get from learning to breathe better are immense. You know, people with depression can be lifted out of depression, anxiety can be lowered, people have more energy, people get healthier, you know, all sorts of health issues from digestive issues like IBS, things like that. These can all be helped just through teaching people to breathe better. So I normally find that, you know, when people do learn to breathe, even if they don't appear to, you know, really expand their lung capacity to a great deal, they will all get health benefits of some sort. And I can remember one woman many, many years ago, and I was running a 12-week breathing course, and I just teach, I call it a breathing course. I don't call it yoga or anything like that. I was doing this in the community, putting on free courses and just encouraging anybody who had sort of health issues, maybe breathing issues, to come along. And each lesson we measure with a tape measure, like a tailor's tape measure, the 3 areas of the lungs. We have a low, a mid, and an upper area of the lungs, and we'll measure these areas each month. And as they grow in practice and increase their lung capacity, this will change the measure of the tape measure, so you can see a tangible way to see that they are actually expanding their lung capacity. So this one particular lady who was coming, who had severe depression, she was on medication, she barely left the house, and she'd come across my course and decided that she wanted to do it and she thought it would help her. So she came along to the first session and we measured her, and she literally had, you know, 0, 0, and a tiny, tiny bit of movement in the very upper lung. Over the course of the 12 weeks, I think she only came maybe 3-4 times maximum. And each time they would come, I would measure, and her measurements didn't change at all. But I would give her a little extra half, you know, just to encourage her, just to make her think that, you know, that something was happening, so that she would carry on and not just give up thinking nothing was happening. And she came at the very end, and I really don't think there was hardly any change at all, but she had so much gratitude for me. She said that her life had completely changed. Her depression had lifted a lot. Her doctor had changed her medication. She was walking the dog. She was going out for coffee with her friends. She was going shopping, all these simple things which she hadn't done for years. And it really confused me, because I couldn't at that time sort of work out how she'd got that much benefit when I was measuring her every week and I wasn't seeing any benefit. And the thing that was apparent to me was, even though she hadn't hugely changed much as to, you know, the elasticity of her lungs and how much air she was moving in and out. But what I realized must have happened, that what she'd done was she'd slowed her breathing down. And just by slowing her breathing down, had changed that sort of energetic response in the body, and had such an effect on her that it had given her energy, and it had made a big change to her depression. And it was a big learning curve for me, because I was very much used to measuring people and seeing people grow, in their measurements, and seeing that sort of tangible response and seeing effects happen that way. But for such a dramatic effect to happen to somebody that didn't have that tangible, readable response, in the body, was really amazing, very amazing. And she left the course. I never saw or heard from her again, but hopefully her life carried on in that positive way. But it's really quite incredible, just something so simple, just to breathe slower. That's one of the things I would teach people to do, as well as focus on the different areas of the lungs, but to get people to breathe slower and deeper. So even though she hadn't increased that capacity, just by the little amount of capacity that she had, that slower, deeper breath made a huge difference to her.
Thank you, Kalavathi Devi. You have given simple solution to this complex question again. So basically, I understand that it starts with breathing correctly, and then discipline will take you further. Okay. So
Absolutely.
my next question to Ranjit sir is, Doctor, as a hardcore scientist, what is your view about enhancing the energies and the health?
Yes. Uh, the problem which was spoken here by Swamini Kalavathi ji has taken up long back, many, many years back, thousands of years back, by Rishis Maharshi. They knew that there is individual difference, and not all people will get the same kind of stimulus and would show. They would get even the same type of stimulus, but then they would show the responses different. And for that, they have evolved 79 different types of Kriya Yogas. Kriya Yogas means simplified meditation techniques. For that, anyone who is even newcomer, beginners in energy regeneration program would get the same benefit, but they are very tangible practices. For example, there is one technique right from Manusmriti, the oldest ever treatise. It says, Ekaksharam param brahma pranayama param tapa gayatrastu param nasti pavanam paramam smritam. The same technique we use in Kaivalyadhama, 10 rounds of Anulom Vilom pranayama would have tapa. And, and then we have 10 rounds of Onkar recitation, and 10 rounds of Gayatri Mantra. But then care should be taken that we recite them as enjoined in scriptures. Nritya Vichinnam Onkaram Ghantanadam Visornavat. Onkar recitation should be done exactly what it is there in Srimad Bhagavat. And then energy regeneration is there. And same way, Gayatri Mantra should be recited as it is there in our ancient books. That is, Udatta, Anudatta, and Swarit. Sanskrit phonetics should be taken care of so that our different points in the brain would be stimulated. And so also it has got relationship with your breathing. And so energy regeneration is there. I have this experience that depression, anxiety, all this, particularly depression and many such psychosomatic disorders, they respond wonderful way to Kriya Yoga. Simple technique, 10 rounds of Anulom Vilom, 10 rounds of Onkar, 10 rounds of Gayatri Mantra. But then they should be done as given in scriptures, not that what we do often outside. For example, Ridya Vichinnam Onkaram, Ghantanadam Visornavat. Heart region should get vibrations. And Ridya Vichinnam Onkaram, Ghantanadam. Now, how to recite Om? And it should be very, very tender at the end. After good practice, 7 seconds for inhalation, 3 seconds for O, and for Makar, 15 seconds. It has been enjoined by our Swami Digambarji here at Kaivalyadhama. We follow. And Gayatri Mantra. Om Tatsavi Om Bhurvah Swaha. This is Vyarti. It is not part of Gayatri. The Gayatri starts from Tatsavi Durvaredam भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. This is Kriya Yoga, very, very effective for depression, for very many psychosomatic problems we have found. Wonderful. And there are 78 other practices according to Bihar School of Yoga book, Yoga and Kriya. Therefore, energy regeneration is accessible even to the people, newcomers. And we cannot say that individual difference is there. And therefore, yoga, our masters have evolved such methods. Only thing is that we have to go and find out in the books. They are there. They are jewels. And so I think, and RMR, resting metabolic rate, is reduced while your energy is enhanced. What is it? All the Himalayan yogis, they eat meager food. But then look at their physique and their stamina and their longevity. So that's actually required nowadays. You eat more and you burn your energy, that is your calories, and you get energy out of it. This is going to be outdated someday. You have least food, RMR is reduced, and energy is on the rise. That is the very identity of yoga and yoga practices like Kriya Yoga. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Um, it was a very effective demonstration of Onkar, I would say, and everyone must practice this at least as guided by sir today. My next question to Kalavathi Devi is, um, are there certain articles and elements that can enhance the energies and vibrations?
Yes, absolutely. There's so many different practices, that can be used for, energy. We've already mentioned I think you called it the Omkara. In Gitananda Yoga, we would call it the Pranava Om. This is a fantastic practice. Ideally, you would learn how to breathe properly first so that you can chant the Pranava Om and intone it correctly. I mentioned earlier we have the low, the mid, and the upper areas of the lungs. These work with the Pranava Om. So when you breathe in first to the low, that sort of upper abdominal area, that low area of the lungs, this resonates with the R sound. You breathe then into the mid chest, which resonates with the U sound, and then you breathe into the very upper area of the lungs, which is resonating with the sound. So to intone, the Pranava Om, you would breathe in to the low, the mid, and upper, thinking the R, the U, and the And then when you breathe out, we would breathe out from the low, making the R sound, which would then turn into the U sound when the out breath moves to the mid chest area, and then it comes up into the upper lung where we finish with that sound as we just heard. So the Pranava Om is an amazing technique. It really is a very incredible technique, and when you spend time practicing this, you really do notice the energy from the Pranava Om. It's quite incredible. There was one time when I was teaching at a big yoga conference in London called the Yoga Show. This was quite a few years ago, and all the teachers would be teaching different classes there. And whenever I would teach, I'd always try and think of something different to do, because you'd be inundated really with practical classes, dynamic classes, things like that. And one time when I was there, I chose to teach the Pranava Om. So it was about an hour session. So I ran around the different areas of the lungs, because we have the low, the mid, and the upper, and the front and the sides and the back as well of each of those three areas. So I ran around a very quick practical class, showing people how they would learn to breathe, and bringing in the different areas of the lungs to them. And then we brought in the sound and chanted the Pranava Om. For our in-breath, we have a different breath ratio as to what was just mentioned. We would breathe in for 6, and we would give a 18 on the out breath. So we're breathing in of a ratio of 1 to 3. And we did 27 rounds. And I had there were about 120 people practicing this, with me. And we were on this upper balcony. So you had the whole of the show downstairs and this open sort of balcony area upstairs. And we had 120 or so people chanting the Pranava Om. And it was absolutely incredible, that many people chanting the energy from the sound, the energy that filled the space. And afterwards, I mean, so many people just sort of got up and ran off to their next dynamic class. But quite a lot of people stayed behind and sat with that energy. And it really was an incredible experience. And me and a few of my students just stayed up there quietly for quite a while because it was so strong. You just didn't want to rush back down into that busyness of, this big yoga conference with people rushing everywhere. So, I mean, that's just one example. There are so many other examples of practices that, we would use. Some other practices that I really resonate with myself, the learning to breathe, as I've already mentioned, which is, we call it Vibhaga Pranayama. And then you have, the Pranava Om. But we have a practice in our tradition called Loma Viloma. And Loma Viloma, in the physical sense, in that physical Hatha Yoga sense, is where we're working with the different energies, the two major energies of the body. So you have the Ha energy, which is that positive solar masculine energy of the body. And then the Ta, the Hatha, you see, this is the two words that make up the Hatha Yoga. The Ta is then the lunar, the feminine, the negative energy in the body. And that's not in a good or bad, positive and negative, energy. It's just the two opposites. So this Loma Viloma practice that we have works with balancing these energies in the body. And it's also creating and building energy. So this particular physical Loma Viloma group that we use is working with the legs and the body. So we'd be lifting legs and balancing that energy by lifting the head or lifting the body. So if we're lifting one leg, that energy would stream from the foot and it would come all the way up the body, and then we would balance it by the head lift. The energy then streams from the head down the body, and those two energies meet at the kunda, at the base of the spine, and build up over time, but they ground you, they polarize you, because we're trying to bring balance, in the body to these two main energies. So the Loma Viloma, for me, I find very special. It's very, very strong. It's very, very powerful, but in a very subtle way. So I find people get absolutely very balanced by this, very grounded. We want yoga to be grounding. We don't want to be playing around with energy and just for energy to be flying up all over the place. And I think, to some extent, a lot of yoga can be like that, especially in the West. A lot of it sort of becomes sort of like a gym class using yoga postures, or just a physical exercise class. But when you're working with energy, which Gitananda Yoga is, you do have to work in a very specific way so that you're taking care, of that person, so that they're harnessing that energy, but containing it as well, so that it's not just being let loose. And the Loma Viloma is a very good practice, for that, because it will really settle people and bring people down. So those, I think, are the main sort of practices that I would use a lot. Working with energy, it can, if you're working on a one-to-one basis, it can be quite different. If you've got somebody who's got very high levels of energy, high levels of anxiety and stress, telling them to sit down and breathe slowly isn't going to work. That's probably going to be more stressful for them. So you would then steer that person towards a more physical practice, something that can focus themselves in a different way. They can focus on their body, work on their body. And I kind of see it as coming around the back door. You're trying to approach that sort of response that's within them. But, if you go head on, tell people to sit quietly, focus on their breath, when they've got a mind that is going, so quickly and not letting up. At least if you can start to move the body and get them focusing in that way, by moving the body, their attention then is on the body. And then the breath then will start to slow down and start to follow what you're doing with the body. And that then in turn can have an effect on, what's going on in the mind. So yeah, so many different practices that can be used. And yoga really is it's like a toolbox, so you can just dip in and out, finding what works for you, finding what works, for people that you're working with. And there really are so many practices, and what works for one person might not be the same practice, that works for somebody else. So it really is, can be a very unique journey, that you follow. But then if you're obviously teaching general groups, you have to teach in a general way there, and and you're managing the class, you're managing who's in the group, and working out what practices you think are the best to go with.
Thank you, Kalavathi Devi. There are so many options by which you can enhance your energies. So, as I understand, doing correct yogasanas will help you go towards correct pranayam, and the correct pranayama will help you enhance energies in a better way. And rather than using anything like crystals or metals, this is the best way by which you can enhance your energies. So my next question to Dr. Sir is, sir, how can energies and vibrations be deployed for the betterment of one's self or others?
Yes. It has been my experience and experience of many that whether it is Savitri Pranayam, like advocated by Dr. Balayogi Anand Bhavnani, and all this Kriya Yoga which I speak about, if you have this just one round, 10 round and 10 round and 10 round, 10 rounds of Anulom Vilom, 10 rounds of Omkar, 10 rounds of Gayatri Mantra, or for that matter, any mantra of your religion. Instead of Omkar, you can opt for Amin or Amen. Well, it's the same energy. Even we have such mantras for people, those who may find that it may not be going with their own culture, like Kul Ho Lahu Ahad Allah Samad Lam Yalid Walam Yulad Walam Yakul Lahu Kufuwan Ahad. Well, equally potent. The meaning of this prayer, Muslim prayer, is just the praise of Purusha. Purusha is the concept in yoga, wonderful concept. The same thing is spoken there. So there is actually no difference at the top. And we are all one, children of the same God. And we are having this prerogative to have energies. And this, if twice you have this Kriya Yoga, 10 plus 10 plus 10, within just 1 month you notice, but then in the first month you should have only one round. Second month onwards, you should have 2 rounds. You will know that you are full of energy. And the doctors, those who operate, they feel that yes, now they can operate. And migraine, headache, and all that other things, insomnia, other problems, body ache, and all kind of things also have a good impact. So this is something for all. Therefore, our ancient people have spoken about such Kriya Yoga technique. Why not tap them to the full? And we have also Bij mantras, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, Aim, Shrim, Rim. Actually, this is a correct way if you want to live. Lifestyle would be given to you by Aim. The Bij mantra Aim. Aim. It is little mystical, you may find, but actually it is a science. Unless we know what it is, it remains mystical. But then days are not far that people will know what is the significance of this. A scientist from Korea has already discovered the existence of nadis, the channel of prana. And the day is not far when maybe Chinese or maybe Scandinavian scientist or maybe Indian also may find out the existence of prana in pure scientific way. We are looking for that. And so aim for your lifestyle and for riches and for prosperity, you have Shri and Rim for you have for fulfillment of your all your desire of worldly nature, and then we have Om for going liberation. So everything is there, and when you have all the Bij mantras invested with all the chakras, if you have Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ksham, Ham, Om, you have holistic health. When holistic health is energy is not far. Yes, So there are such methods, but need is there to tap them. And one more method is there, Sagarva Pranayama. While you exhale, you have to recite Om. Now this would take care of all the problems as advocated by Lord Krishna. That within 1 month you have control on your prana. Dashakito Teshamanam Asadvarga Jitanela. If you have this Anulom Vilom Pranayama, every time you exhale, you have Onkar recitation done. Within 1 month, you will see, if not 1 month, maybe after 2 months, following 2 months. But then it will take care of all your problems, small problems, psychophysiological, because you have a full control on your pranic dynamics. So there are so many things people can take advantage, and if you are taking advantage of it, and there will be a contagious effect in your family, and they will be regenerated because they are looking at you. Whenever you go home, when you are fresh, even if it is evening time, they look at you and they become fresh. It's contagious. So you flow energy to them, you transmit energy to them. It is possible. And you are meditating, your atmosphere is getting charged, of all the ions are there, the people over there are getting. So this way you can raise energy, you can share energy, you are full of energy, and life is full of energy, and what you need more, and you become full, and then you go out of the world. That is what it says, the Om Trambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarikume Bandhana Mrityor Mukshimamrita. We be complete, and then we go out of the world, but not from the Amaratva, that is immortality. So that is the message of yoga, and it is accessible. There are such mantras available. So let us hope that someday we at least, it is people are looking at us Indians, towards India. Let us we first show it as a role model, and then people may follow it. Yes, so we can do that. Thank you very much.
Sir, on this, your answer, one quick question from one of my students was that if
Hmm.
Namasmaran or
Yes,
recital of
yes,
mantra is
very good.
spiritual or religious, you have already told us the benefits of that, but is it spiritual or it is religious?
Well, religious, spiritual, the line is very thin. In fact, line is not there. It is a blurred line. Let me tell you. When you have namasmaran or mantra, immediately you transcend your mind and body. Once you transcend your mind and body, your awareness is expanding. When expansion is life and contraction is death. And therefore, we enhance our all capabilities no sooner we have namasmaran, because we are taking nam of the transcendental entity, not anyone, any other, Tom, Dick, and Harry, but the entity, God, or nature, or some such kind of thing. We expand, just like flower expanding, just like air moving, and just like light spreading. We become that. And that is the very thing. And therefore, we have such techniques which are giving emphasis. You have to feel like that. Ananta Samapatti you just feel the whole sky. You are sky. You expand. To Namasmaran, whenever you have Namasmaran, whenever you have mantra, it is devoted to the Almighty. We expand. And when we expand, our all this respiratory system is expanding, and all blockages in the heart getting removed, and everything cool, because we are expanding. The person who is very selfish, he only gets all the problems. He is very self-centered and doesn't believe in anything. He is amassing wealth, contracting, and therefore he invites all the problems. The person, our Rishi Maharshis, they were giving, Jesus was giving, the revolver was giving, every people, these great people were giving, and therefore they were healthy. At least they were healthy in their psychophysiology in giving. And once they have some problem also psychophysiological, well, they accept this as a prasad of the Almighty. What do you need more? In every situation, you can be happy, you can be full of energy, you can share energy, and you be with all people. You become complete, meaningful, you become life, holistic life, your own self.
Thank you so much, sir. So we understand now that enhancing your energies which are within us, they alter your inner metabolism, and they lead us towards a totally physically and emotionally healthy life, which we can call as a
No
stress-free
doubt.
life. Okay.
No doubt.
So here I would like to ask Kalavati Devi, is it true that there can be negative energies and vibrations also, and can they harm? Can they make harm to humanity, like violence, diseases, or bad tidings, like downfall in the career, or deterioration in the relations, or failure in business?
Absolutely. Negativity is never a good thing. And you can I think the body responds to negativity. So when you have a lot of negativity around you, you're probably going to notice it's going to affect the inner workings of your body, the digestive system, your mind, your energy can be depleted by negativity, especially if you have negative people around you. Some people really feed off of other people's energy, and they can leave you feeling very, very tired. So absolutely, negativity in any sense is never a good thing. So the more if everybody practiced yoga and breathed slower and gave themselves a little bit more time, maybe we could have a little bit more positive energy around. But yeah, for sure, negative energy is never a good thing.
Thank you, Kalavati Devi. I would like to ask your experience that you are now training people in yoga, Kalavati Devi ji, to all the age groups now. Okay, so could you just quickly tell us that in pediatric age group, does it affect the psyche of the children also, so that they can become better humans?
Yeah. I was always told that working with children was one of the best groups to work with, and I have worked with children quite a bit, in my time, and just teaching children simple tools. There's one that we have where we sort of shake our hands, and we'll shake them all around the body, loosening everything up, and then we imagine that we're catching up any tension, any stress, any negativity, anything at all that's bothering us. And with children, especially young children, you'll probably say things like if somebody's been mean to you, you think of the things that they've said or how it's made you feel. And then we breathe in, we take a deep breath, and we catch it all up into our hands, and then we throw it out with a big like a big whoosh. And just simple things like this can help them to release any of that sort of negative energy that comes towards them. And I feel that just simple practices like this can really benefit them. I know that they take these little practices with them, and I heard of some of the children practicing this outside. So and so was mean to me, so I did a big whoosh, and it made me feel better. And they sort of explain it in those simple sort of childlike language. But absolutely, if we can affect children in a positive way, they're the ones that are going to grow up and take over the world. So the more positivity that you can put into a child is going to benefit the whole human race in the world.
Thank you, Kalavati Devi. My question to Ranjit sir now is, sir, you both of you are proponents of actually yoga. So could you give me quickly one or two examples wherein yoga has given cure to incurable problems in person's life?
Yes. So there are many such examples. First of all, before doing that, let me tell you that human being has got that energy to expand and to have positive energy. That is the sattvic energy. Now, this sattvic energy can utilize the ill effects of the not so good energy. Energy is there. In yoga, they call it Vishuchi Pran. When you have Vishuchi Pran, the outcome is Vishuchi, that is full of poison, and therefore you spread. But then if you are having also to get vibhuti kind of thing, therefore you need to be sadhak. If you are a sadhak, then no kind of negativity would remain there. You see the example of Jesus in Ten Commandments, or no, the Ben Hur, yes, and there the person who was not so good was afraid of the light emanating from the Jesus. The other one, who was actually Ben Hur, was happy. See, the energy is neutralizing, the good energy always neutralizes the bad energy. Let's learn this, and therefore there will be, then only be the peace would dawn upon this earth. So we need to be sadhak, not simply practitioner of certain thing, one or two. Sadhak. abhyas, a full of experiential level. Then we get the all wonderful thing done. And now example, in Japan, a person came to me that her friend is having severe depression, not eating well, and she was to fed by others, and even to the toilet she was to be led to such kind of things, and she would not speak at all, and always in a very very different mood, endogenous depression, psychiatric depression. Now I recommended just one round of Kriya Yoga. Remember, just one round. Within 2 months, she started speaking. Later, they came to India and they narrated that this happened. So anybody can just confirm this. It happened, and then within 2 months, she started speaking. Next 2 months, she started taking care of her own self, and next 2 months, within 6 months, as if there was no depression. If I speak it to any psychiatrist, the psychiatrist would laugh. But then, no, it is pranic kind of thing. It is the energy which is making difference. So, and then this example I gave in Hangzhou of China. And there was one 22-year-old girl was inspired. And she thought that, well, I will do something. She just surfed the internet and found out two couples, advanced age couple. And she went there, I want to help you. You are suffering from depression? Yes. She started giving this. And they got well. Oh my God. And so they wanted to touch her feet, say, I'm like your grandchild, please don't do it. So that happens, so many things. And the whole atmosphere is in favor to you. Your luck is unlocked. So such kind of miracles are happening. We have such treasure in our scriptures, treasure, but then we don't have time to look at that. The time has come where we have to cull out all that kind of mystical thing, but they are very, very practical in nature. And there are such one American, Joe, from the USA. And I happen to be in Nashik, some place here, from far away place here, so maybe 300 kilometers. Now, he learned that Kriya Yoga and went away to USA. And then just every day, he was having just one round of Kriya Yoga, or sometimes two. So after 2 months, he started feeling good, and he got checked, and he was all right. And his BP was even better than what it was when he was 17-year-old. So he told, please come to USA and we will teach others all these things. People are wanting it. Actually, people are wanting it. So such are the miracles, and many miracles even Dr. Bhavnani also is narrating whenever he speaks, and it is truth. The idea is, the only message is, we have to go to that experiential level. The simple techniques, what Kalavathi ji is told, they are not simple. If you make them wonderful way practiced, they are very, very big promise for us.
Yes. Thank you, Ranjit sir. A quick question to Kalavathi Devi here, because we have only 5 minutes left. How to strike balance between the rat race and the spiritualism or the spiritual practices?
Sorry, what was between the what? Sorry.
Okay, how to strike the balance between the rat race,
Oh, the rat race,
and the spiritual practices?
Yeah. Well, that can be very hard, I think, especially in modern life. It's so, things are moving so quickly, and it's so easy to get caught up in that. But people just need to make some time for themselves. And I think, one of the things that people need to do is to put in real relaxation, and I guess it's going to be different for people in different ways. If you love yoga, you can go to a yoga class and put time in for yourself that way. If you enjoy reading, or if you enjoy walking, whatever it is, you'd need to find something that makes you feel good. Get out in nature, go for a walk, get that fresh air. You get prana out in nature. The sun also is a huge source of energy. I had to adjust my sitting position just now because it was beaming in on my face and I couldn't see the screen. So, and that energy that you get from the sun will really sort of vivify you and wake you up. So yeah, just making sure that people make time for themselves, do something that they enjoy. I noticed actually that there was an advert for a book at the beginning of this with a dog. And I think having a pet around can really help. I've been thinking of getting a dog recently, haven't quite ventured there yet, but we have 2 cats. And I know that, the cats can come in and really calm you down. You stroke them, you pet them, and, they put you into a different space, so that's another way to take you away from the rat race, as you said, and bring you into a better position of balance.
Thank you, Kalavathi Devi. Um, Now, quickly, because as Kalavati Devi has asked me that can me also share some things related to energy. I am a very humble Reiki practitioner and a yoga practitioner, and I've got amazing results related to all the disciplines that I am been using for my patients. But the most striking of them I would like to tell is about tinnitus. I am a ENT surgeon. So people come to me with tinnitus problems. There is a humming or ringing sound continuously happening in the ear, which is very, very boring,
Nagging.
creates anxiety, and it leads to depression also. And people suffer from this for years together. And we have been telling patients that you have to live with this for many years. We have been telling this only to the patients. Um, One such patient came to me, and instead of giving him this advice that you have to live with this, I opted to offer him Reiki session, and I offered him Reiki session. He called me after 3 days and he told me that, ma'am, after the session, my tinnitus or the ringing sound in my ears was completely gone, and I was able to sleep after 3 years. For 3 days, I was sleeping, and after getting up, I'm calling you for the first time. You're the first person I'm calling. So, these are, as a doctor, these are the miracles that I myself cannot believe. Uh, we will be in touch and talk more about the energies with each other. We can exchange numbers also. And my dear friends, by now, you know many things about the mystical powers and the forces that bind and balance the universe. Not only that, you also know that there is an art of enhancing these energies and vibrations and making good use of it. There is a shlok in Bhagavad Gita. It is Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Dear friends, please understand the meaning of this shlok and please remember that if we become a real spiritual India, we surely can rule and lead the world. And I thank Kalavati Devi and Ranjit sir for gracing this session with their esteemed presence. I am grateful to the team IFSI, and I wish them luck and best wishes to achieve their noble mission. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you for this extraordinary and profound discussion. On a lighter note, we now know the secret of charging our energies. Thank you, Yogacharini Kalavati Devi, Dr. Ranjit Bhogal, and Dr. Gauri Joshi for being IFSI guests. We will gather here for our final conversation of the day, Soulmates and the Yearning, everything you need to know, at 7 p.m. I'm sure you all are eagerly waiting for this.